A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Thursday, March 11. Barbados will inch closer to a full reopening come Monday. Prime Minister Mia Mottley this evening announced a further ease in restrictions, which will see more businesses resuming operations. In a national address, she noted that COVID-19 cases have been steadily declining over the last 2 weeks, and there are now enough signs to allow for more activity.
So we're trying to balance as far as possible. What does that mean in real terms? It means that we're taking chances for the commercial sector, the retail sector to open back up. It means that hairdressers and barbers and estheticians, subject to the protocols that have been agreed before, can open back up. It means that restaurants will be allowed to open back up within the time frames for the curfew that we've established, but with one exception, that there will be no in-house dining for fast food restaurants, but all other restaurants can have the in-house dining based on the density and protocols that were previously agreed on with the COVID monitoring unit. It does mean that we have a situation, therefore, that the fast food restaurants will continue. They will probably open even later because of the later curfew, but there will be no in-house dining in fast food restaurants. So it will be drive-through or it will be delivery as expected. With respect to the transport sector, before I go there, in terms of in-house bars and restaurants, there can be no congregating around the bars. All of those things were agreed to beforehand, and therefore the COVID monitoring unit will continue to enforce them as necessary.
In announcing the change in restrictions, Mottley said she was pleased with the vaccination program to date and it will continue unabated. Some 50,263 persons have been vaccinated as of today. Mottley disclosed that Barbados received 5,000 COVID vaccines from Guyana today, and over 30,000 doses are underway from the COVAX facility, and government is working to secure even more.
When the EOC met night before last, and when the Cabinet Subcommittee met yesterday, not only on its own, but then in conjunction with the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, we agreed, all of us, that we would now use some of the remaining vaccines that we have to the tune of the ones that we will receive. I'm happy to report that we received the 5,000 today, and as I said, we expect through COVAX and our communications with the representatives of COVAX and the Ministry of Health, we expect to receive those 33,300 in the near future. Hence, government's program of vaccination can continue seamlessly. At the same time, we have, as I told you on the last occasion, a number of irons in the fire, and we have still the African Medical Supplies platform, plus the possibility of 2 commercial procurements, which we are waiting for the details on delivery, which we are deep in discussions and commitments, and in one instance payment. So my friends, we expect that we can turn the corner in terms of being able to have vaccines on demand for Barbadians.
Barbados recorded 19 new coronavirus cases on Wednesday, while 58 people were released from isolation. Of the 19 new cases, there are 7 males and 12 females. Overall, there are now 275 active cases on the island. Total confirmed cases are 3,372. 3,050 persons have recovered from the virus, and 37 people have died. In other news, opposition Senator Caswell Franklyn and his attorney Neil Marshall today filed their lawsuit against the government's COVID-19 directives as announced. They insist that the measures, which include a fine of $50,000 or 1 year in prison or both, on persons who fail to comply are unlawful. Marshall outlined the aim of the case, making it clear that they're not seeking damages.
What we're asking the court to do is to be clear on a set of these measures that are purporting to be law. 1, on the constitutionality. 2, on whether or not they are indeed law to begin with. And 3, on issues where they contradict each other or run afoul of other laws. So this is really for declaration. If the court agrees with us and declares that some of these things are unconstitutional, they are ultra-virus of each other, they are contradictory of each other, and some of them are just simply void for uncertainty, well then it is open to anyone who has suffered injury by these measures to bring an action if they so desire against the government of Barbados for either if it can be restitution or damages.
Preconco workers are back on the job after management held 4-hour-long talks with Labour Minister Colin Jordan, the Chief Labour Officer, and her team today. The workers donned tools on Wednesday after 8 shop stewards were suspended after they attended a meeting with the Labour Minister. The Barbados Workers Union had declared the company's actions an injustice.
Along with providing some explanations on the issues raised by the workers, the meeting also addressed the suspension with pay of delegates who had attended a meeting convened yesterday morning by me as the Minister and Conciliator. There had been some misunderstanding concerning the parameters of the meeting, and the company has now retracted the letters with immediate effect and has informed the workers and their representative accordingly. I'll be convening a meeting on Monday morning, March 15, and this will be to assist the parties in working toward resolution of the substantive matters.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, 1 year ago today, Guyana recorded its first COVID-19 case. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony says it's been a learning experience and the country has significantly boosted its response to the viral illness, which has so far claimed 206 lives and infected 8,993 persons. 8,230 persons have recovered in Guyana.
And so one of our priorities has been to increase the level of testing. So we have improved the capacity at the National Public Health Reference Lab. That capacity now we're capable of probably doing about 2,000 tests per day. We have automated the systems so that the turnaround time is faster, moving maybe from an 8-hour for 96 tests to less than 2 hours. We have included other things. We have bought point-of-care testing machines that we are now putting at the regional hospitals. And of course, we have antigen tests that you can get back those results within a 20-30 minutes period. So the whole testing environment has improved drastically. And we have moved from where there was no private entity offering testing to now having private entities that can offer PCR testing. We have looked at also building the hospital capacity to be able to manage COVID-19 patients. And we have improved the regional hospitals by adding beds, adding ventilators, oxygen concentrators. These are all things that are necessary to manage the acute respiratory distress that patients would experience.
On the international front, the UN Security Council today condemned violence against Myanmar protesters and called on the army to show restraint. More than 60 protesters have been killed and some 2,000 people have been detained by security forces since the February 1 coup.
The Council agreed on it unanimously. The most important part of it is that it condemns the Myanmar military's use of violence against peaceful anti-coup protesters. But just like the previous statement, there's actually no mention of the word coup or of the possibility of international sanctions on the generals behind the crackdown. Now, both of these elements were in the original British draft, but they ended up being cut out. China and Russia helped block language referring to a coup and threatening further action. That said, the text does go hard against the generals who overthrew Myanmar's democratically elected government on February 1st. The text says that the Council expresses deep concern at restrictions on medical personnel, civil society, labour union leaders, journalists and media workers, and calls for the immediate release of those detained arbitrarily. It adds that the Council calls for the military to exercise utmost restraint and emphasises that it's closely following the situation. So it's a warning to the generals, an attempt at de-escalation.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.